All right, everybody, it is Dr. Kachikian from the Black Hills Regional Eye Institute. We got another case here. Just routine, we'll make our side port. We'll see what details we can come up with. Side port, make it parallel to the iris. When you do that, we'll inject a little bit of a dilute lidocaine, 50-50 with BSS, just to minimize the sting, but still provide some anesthetic. Nice wave of viscoelastic, and then we'll make our mark. Now you notice this is really excellent dilation, so we're just going to try and use this 5mm marker as a guide for size. Then we'll place our fixation ring and nice gentle 2.4mm incision beginning right at the limbus. If it doesn't go in, you can wiggle that blade a little bit to get it in. Sometimes if my incision looks like it's going to be too long, I'll wiggle the blade to enter the cornea. That helps. I try not to pivot down because it creates that chevron formation to the incision. I don't really want that, but I don't want a very long incision either. I just want, just the right size of square incision. We will use our 5mm marker to judge size, but to judge roundness, we will use the edge of the iris. So we just are trying to make sure that it's not getting too much bigger than that 5mm marker, but for roundness, use the iris. It looks very round. We'll see how it is once the IOL is in position. 27 gauge cannula to do hydrodissection and hydrodelineation. So okay, there's our nice spin. That's perfect. Then we will hydrodelineate, and we've got that. And then make sure there's good mobility. Then a little additional viscoelastic. And then we'll begin our phaco. Let's see if we check the flow here. Yep, good flow. And then in quadrant removal mode to get out the epinucleus and clear the tip of any viscoelastic. Then we will sculpt. I always check the diameter or the anterior posterior diameter of the lens to know how thick it is. And then we sculpt, and we've got still some room there in the back, and then we chop. And that was a decent chop. Let's see if this piece comes out. Perfect, that'll be good. It's not all out of there, but it's enough to move on to the next piece. Gradually pulling it out, there you go. The better your first chop, the easier it's going to be to get that first quadrant out of there. And we kind of just go around in carousel fashion, taking what comes. There you go, that's a nice big, more than a quadrant. It's almost a third. That's okay. Take it out, keeping, usually we're staying, probably at the plane of the iris, just mostly in the capsule. I try to stay in that position, and you'll notice that tip keeps angled down, and the second instrument then remains behind whatever lens material we are trying to remove to keep any capsule back. So if there's any capsular trampolining, the second instrument can prevent it from being kind of aspirated into the IAP or into the phaco handpiece. Now we'll switch over to IA, and we will get our cortex out of there. Again, checking flow. You don't want any bubbles in the anterior chamber if you can avoid it once you switch handpieces. And we'll just go around, gradually remove the cortical material as it comes. There we go. I tend to do the inferior subincisional cortex last. I know some people like to get that out of the way first for safety. And once that's out of there, so we'll get some strands, and then we'll use some BSS irrigation to polish that posterior capsule. Interestingly, you can see now the capsular Rhexis maybe isn't as round as it appeared when we first created it, likely just because the lens is out of there. We will see how it looks when the IOL is in position. We'll fill our capsular bag with viscoelastic and then polish the anterior capsule with a Singer sweep. Perfect. That looks great. Both sides, get as much out as you can. It reduces, I think, postoperative inflammation. The more lens material you can get out of there, the less that has to kind of dissolve naturally. Then we will place in our lens, second instrument to stabilize, and gradually inject. It's an Alcon Clarion lens. We'll open up that trailing haptic with a Sinskey. I tend to do that just to get the whole lens as open as possible. We can judge positioning of the capsular Rhexis that we were just looking at as well. All right, that looks great. Now we'll do our IA. We usually go around the periphery and then centrally, and usually I will orient the haptics at the 3 and 9 position. So typically we'll kind of turn the lens to do that. And there you can see we've got a very good overlap of the lens with the capsular Rhexis. As that lens expands, you'll notice that the coverage gets even better as it unfolds. I do tend to have a kind of a larger capsular Rhexis in general. That's just kind of my habit. This one could be a tad smaller, I think, but I think as the lens expands and unfolds, you'll get the coverage you're looking for good lens positioning, especially kind of on that inferior portion. All right, we'll check our incisions, make sure everything is just the way we want it, and we'll be all set. All right, you folks have a great day.